Okay. Another concept is called reverse parallel imaging, and basically there we're doing this to the point where we want the buyer to start talking to us in language that we created. Okay, you might identify an industry problem or something that's going on and coin your own phrase for it and start using that phrase. The example I always think of here is if you remember I don't know if you remember, well, CRM software. Everyone's familiar with CRM software. Well, years ago, it was just contact management software. All you wanted to do was figure out how to help the salesperson, but somebody realized one of the problems is, yeah, they have that information, but my service department needs that, and my operations people need that, and they all need to see the same record. So all of a sudden, Siebel Systems, I think it was, originally came up with this term. Well, customer relationship, let's call it CRM. We'll tie it all together. This became its own entity, its own industry is built all around that word because they came up with it. That's the classic case of reverse parallel imaging. Come up with something, when you do your research about their industry, come up with something that they'll key into, okay, use that word, and when you start hearing them use it, you're in there. All right, you've got a sale and you're doing well. Okay, a third area on the sales side that I like to touch on is everybody's favorite, and that's cold calling. And I just want to give you a few tips here. Everybody hates this, and if people say they don't, they're lying. Okay, and I know that. But everyone has to realize how critical this is to generating new business. You can't do this. You can't go about it without it. There's only 3 ways to get customers. You're either going to get them through marketing, through networking, or through cold calling. That's really what's going to happen. So the first 2 are, I mean, marketing and networking are great, but what they do is they'll get you involved at the start of your prospect's buying cycle, because all of a sudden they said, oh, I met that guy there, or I see that these people do that, and they call you in and you start the process, again, with your competition, probably starting from scratch. When you cold call, you're calling people, quote unquote, at random or in the middle. You will bump into the middle of somebody's buying cycle. They'll already be involved with somebody, and you didn't know about it for whatever reason, because your other methods weren't good enough. You didn't know about it, but now you do. And you'll never discover that without cold calling, all right? So all of a sudden, your sales cycle just got cut in half because they're in the middle of the buy cycle, right? So it's a very important thing to keep into your business. One of the biggest reasons people hate it, or 2 of the reasons I should say, are rejection. People hate the rejection, but they also feel that it's very unproductive. They feel like they're spinning the wheels, they never get the right person on the phone. And those are valid things. However, there's ways to try to minimize those or increase your probabilities. And just a couple ideas that have worked well in companies that I have worked with as well as myself. And one is the business book idea. Go find some, hot current business title that's out there, and that you've read that you think might benefit somebody, and go ahead, just take your top 10 prospects, the real big ones, and send this book to them in advance with just a quick. You could put a little sticky note on it, and just say, saw this, would love an opportunity to talk to you one day, but I thought you'd benefit, as I did from the author. And send it to them. Okay, not a huge investment when you think about the value of a customer. Of course, it depends on what you're selling, but most of the time, it's not a huge investment. All right, so that's a nice thing to try. Another thing that surprisingly has worked very well is the 10 minutes before the hour trick. All right, most C-level people or executives that you're going to want to call on, book all their appointments on the hour. All right, I have a 2, I have a 4, I have a 1, whatever it is. At 10 minutes before the hour, they're in their office because their previous meeting's over, and they're waiting for the next one. Okay, that's when you might find them in the office. It sounds silly, but it works. I mean, if you yourself or train your own sales staff to start calling quarter of, 10 of, make 3 or 4 phone calls, they're going to find their percentages of getting through are so much greater than before. And then, of course, after hours or on a Saturday morning when the gatekeepers are gone, you also have some good success. Mopping in then. All right, kind of ran through it fast. It was only about 25 minutes, but nonetheless, I want to just give you some thoughts, some summary thoughts. All of this, again, tied back to the concept of getting your value out first, everything we talked about. And it's just critical that you sit down, come up with the right value propositions, Think about how you can be an expert in your buyer's industry, okay, and let them know, who you are and what you're doing and how you can help them ahead of time. One of the things that that our network does, and I don't know if it was explained well up front, but Jim and I are in the same network called the Value Forward Network, and we're worldwide with over 30 offices and help thousands of clients. And one of the things that we've established that has worked really well is this 115-point best practices checklist, where we'll come into a business and sit down and go through this. And what it does is it basically takes the business apart through strategy, sales, marketing, operations, and it evaluates how you're doing against, the model of businesses that are doing extremely well. And we then sit down and come out with some strategic and very tactical recommendations on how we can help you in each of those areas, what things you should try in those areas. If you have interest in anything like this, certainly we would welcome the opportunity. You can just throw your business card or just come say hi to us after, and we could collect it that way. There's also, if you're interested, a financial component to the whole thing that we also do, which is really unique. It's part of this database of, I think it's 400,000 financial statements of companies all over the world. And basically, we can benchmark by your NAICS code. We can benchmark how you're doing across, say, it's 22 or 23 different ratios, summarizing your business and how you're doing against your competitors. It benchmarks you for your industry. And also spits out a whole bunch of tactics and strategies that you can use to improve those numbers or get them similar to how the best of the best are doing them in your area. So we certainly encourage that. If you want a copy of either of the PowerPoints, also just feel free to throw your card up here. We'll be happy to send it to you. And I can, if I turn it back to Fred or not, but basically this is the first of a growth seminar series that we're calling it. We're going to focus in. This was really just a light touch on many of these areas, but we're going to try to provide a little more depth on them in future sessions. That I know the next one I think is planned in December, and a schedule will certainly come out. We certainly welcome the opportunity to talk with you again. Questions? Anybody? Anything? We got quiet. Sir.
I got interested in your cold calling because that's been a topic I've heard come up several times in the last couple of months. And I believe in cold calling. You just have to make sure you're spending your time in the right, area. But what I'm reminded of, there's a guy that's on the internet, I'm not going to say his name, but his whole pitch is do not waste your time cold calling.
Okay.
And he basically is getting rich making cold calling through the internet.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
You know who it is. I get an email from him every day.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do. But I think your point is well taken. You've got to not just rely on one area. Cold calling is hard. I think you can waste a lot of time on it.
Right.
You really got to plan it.
Right.
And study how you're going to approach it.
Absolutely. The timing of it's important, and maybe we can make it in one of our subsequent sessions. But how you go about it, the actual quote unquote script that you use and things like that is we have best practices in all these areas that are very effective.
It's getting an injustice to say don't waste your time.
Yeah, no, you need to. It's, as I said, tell me, besides marketing and networking, how else are you going to get a customer if you don't cold call?
I would say timing is important, though. I call on a wood painting company, I call on property management companies, and I just find those property managers, believe it or not, 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, they're all in their offices. I found that out a couple months ago. That is to call them.
And a lot of people actually appreciate that you're calling them then, that you're not out on a golf course or doing something else either. They feel like you're a good business person and professional. So that is a good time. Thank you. Thank you, Fred. Thank you.